So there's a bunch of gray area, and then there's shit that's just not okay. And I think people worry a little bit too much about every small thing in the gray area, anything that even goes near the gray area. But also keep in mind, don't forget, the reason why you guys love to comment about this stuff is because you like these people. You like Toast, you like XYZ other sort of edgy content creator, and the reason you like them is because of how they are. And you can't strip every aspect of their personality away in honor of being extremely PC or whatever. I don't know, just something to keep in mind. I wanted to read this because I saw, actually a friend linked this to me. I haven't really been on Twitter this morning, but I wanted to read it with you guys. Addressing my problematic past and being canceled. Mind you, I will say, very transparently, I have not spoken to Toast about this. I have no idea what this is about. I mean, I can kind of guess, but I don't actually know. So I'm reading this first time live with you all. Since I've recently received a thoughtful and well-written message regarding some Twitter stan drama about my problematic past and people's attempt to cancel me. How do I say this? Cancel culture, in my opinion, has a lot less to do with holding people accountable, typically, than it does with fueling one's ego and feeling better about yourself for putting someone else down for things that they have done in the past. And the reason I say this is because the majority of the stuff that I see being brought up in this recent cancel culture are things from years ago. Are you really trying to hold someone accountable for something that they no longer do and may have already apologized for? Does that really make sense? It's no longer holding someone accountable. Is it? Like, someone emailed me a list of problematic things I've done in their eyes, and that's making the rounds in the Twitter stan circles, and normally I would say, just don't watch my content. Not in a dismissive manner, but simply as, this is just my humor. But it has been brought to my attention that there are literally people crying about it, and even dragging the people I care about, namely my friends in OTV and Amigops, into it by pressuring them and condemning them for interacting with me. Shit on me all you want, but I always draw the line at attacking my friends. So let's take a look. 1, he's a racist. As someone who was spat on for being the quiet Asian kid in school, being called Jackie Chan all the time, hearing ching chong when I go out to eat at a restaurant, I've experienced racism myself. This obviously doesn't make me immune to being racist, but reading an offensive joke doesn't make me one either. He's a racist off stream. What? In a podcast with Destiny, I mentioned that privately streamers say and do things that the public would find distasteful. This is the truth. This is the truth. There's a reason why the majority of streamers keep their lives so private and try to only show the positives of their lives to their audience. They say we are discussing the next member of OTV. I would say, are they Asian? Because we are too Asian. We should diversify with a white/black guy. Obviously, we don't pick members based on race. Does that mean everyone on OTV deserves to be canceled and forced to apologize for not then running to Twitter and publicly condemning what I said in private? No. Is this an expectation people have? I would truly hope not. I hope you guys can see from our past actions that when we feel something becomes truly problematic and can potentially harm others or is truly that bad, we do condemn that person privately and publicly if necessary. Obviously, none of us think that anything Toast has said or done crosses a boundary or line like that. Also, I understand if you're really young, like if you're legit 12 to even like 16, I don't think you've lived long enough to see the phenomenon of how much what is publicly and sometimes even privately acceptable changes within the time span of 5 to 10 years. And we have all been streaming like 5 to 10 years. Things change so much. And I think that's why it is so easy for younger people to be like, this is okay because what you consider like your whole adolescent life is like 2-3 years. And so you're like, my whole life, this has always not been okay. How come you guys think that this is okay? But you have to understand those things change so much with culture and society shifts, etc. Again, like if we really did think it was an issue, we would have done something about that, but that's clearly not the case. He promotes pedophilia. During a game of Pictionary, the prompt was illegal, and I drew a stick figure of a young girl, obviously meaning pedophilia is illegal. Some people tweeted at me saying that I want to Some people say they just find it tasteless. Tasteless, I understand this. Again, it just goes back to my edgy sense of humor. I don't support pedophilia. I can't believe I even have to read him saying that. And it honestly surprised me that some stands are trying to cancel me for this one. The prompt was illegal. I'm pretty sure it's clear that even with the worst opinion of me, people can recognize that I'm saying pedo equals bad. See, what I'm trying to figure out what to say here is like, I am trying to understand it from the perspective of someone who would see this happen in a game of Pictionary and come to this conclusion. I think the difficult thing, if I'm really being honest from Toast's perspective, is that he's 29, right? And he's been streaming for many a year. This man's about to be 30. Obviously, his humor is not one that is like, I don't even think he wants to have a sense of humor that is particularly PG. Or like specifically geared towards people that are like 13, 14, 15, right? I don't think that would be fun for him. And I think that now, after all the Among Us stuff, he has appealed unintentionally, well, whatever. Because he played that game, it has appealed to a much younger audience that is now kind of, I don't know, it's like overflowed into his larger fan base. And it has been difficult to reconcile those two things. I'm a rape advocate. This one bothered me the most because the others I can understand to some degree of people just thinking my humor is crass and tasteless. Coincidentally, this one is the one where the email didn't bother including any VODs or clips. Just a recollection that I said, when a woman says no, don't let that stop you because she doesn't really mean it anyway. Just keep going. I genuinely do not remember saying this. I do recall saying something along the lines of if a girl says no, just keep asking till she gives in, as in keep bothering a girl if she turns you down. And obviously, I hope people have enough social understanding to see that this was sarcastic, as I did in front of my two close female friends, who I know will respond accordingly. Toast, no, don't teach them that. When I make satirical commentary, I usually say something purposefully ignorant, because I know there exists men that do think that way, and I do it in front of people I know who would react in a manner that shows that this line of thinking is not okay. I recognize that rape and sexual assault isn't something to joke about. I like to think my actions during a period of time where friends of mine did go through such traumas shows how seriously I take it. It was a joke about how creepy men can be. I don't think it is fair to label me as a rape advocate, especially while not showing any clips or VODs of the moment. It's easier to understand when someone is saying certain things for comedic or entertainment value when you are of a certain age, essentially. So I understand it being difficult for someone who's young to look back at someone that they look up to, Toast, saying these things and assuming that he's being serious. And you know what? If you do find some of the things that he says tasteless, that's totally fair. Like, there is certain edgy humor that even I see and I'm like, that's too far for me. I don't like that. I don't want to support that. And that's fine. But I think that is very different from immediately coming to these conclusions. I think that is extremely damaging. I think these things are extremely damaging. But even if you don't respect me, at least respect the opinion of the people around me, my peers, people who've known me for years. Know that they wouldn't stand by for any bigotry or racism or sexism because we hold each other to a very high standard, period. I'm so sorry, I scared my cat when I said that. So true. Very, very true. To the original message author, thanks for taking the time out to properly convey how you feel. I do apologize to the people who were hurt by my jokes. I will try to be more considerate, but I expect to still make the occasional edgy joke here and there. The one thing I ask is to leave my friends alone. They are wonderful people that don't deserve any hate for being associated with me. Boycott my content, cancel me, whatever, but don't drag them into it by pressuring them to demand an apology. or demanding an apology from them just because we play games together. I am actually quite glad he made this post, because I think there's kind of a larger conversation that needs to be had versus just, hey, we're mad about this thing from XYZ years ago, and then the person is like, I'm sorry to anybody that I've offended. And listen, that's fine. And that is probably the route that I would take, because I don't think I'm in the position to say something like this. But I do think there is something to be said about allowing some leeway for the types of jokes people are allowed to make. And honestly, the main reason why is because once you start policing that too much, at the end of the day, it's less content for you guys, is it not? I don't think you guys would enjoy a world where we are overly policed in regards to the types of jokes that we can make. But obviously, that's not to say that a lot of the things that people bring up aren't valid. They for sure are. And I think another thing that, another distinction that kind of needs to be made is behavior or jokes or comments that are made that are straight up not okay under any circumstances versus edgy humor that sometimes if you just don't like that kind of thing, you just shouldn't consume that content. But does that mean that those people like shouldn't exist as content creators? Not really.